Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today for another card making tutorial. And today we're going to be using this really fun cling mount stamp set called Way to Goat. So it's a very amusing little set with these lovely little goats there and some real sort of punny kind of greetings. Not everyone's cup of tea, but I like the characters in there. So we're going to use the character out of this, but pinch a sentiment from one of our other stamp sets, and we're going to use the in colour designer series paper. So it's a 6x6 stack. That's for the ones that came in last year. So that would be Misty Moonlight, Just Jade, Magenta Madness, Cinnamon Cider and Bumblebee. So they're the last year's in colours that were introduced. Okay, so I'm just going to use a bit of that, just for a bit of fun. And I've actually brought in some of the acetate from the Hydrangea Haven Suite as well. Okay, so we're going to do some colouring with our Stampin' Blends as well. So that particular goat there was done with smoky slate, light and dark smoky slate, bit of petal pink in there, and Magenta Madness to coordinate with the designer series paper. We're going to switch up to a Bumblebee for the card we're going to make today. So I've already cut all the bits and bobs ready to assemble when we're ready. So we'll just leave those to one side. The sentiment that I'm using is from the Happy Thoughts stamp set, and the box is not in front of me, but Happy Thoughts is a $1 million sales stamp set. So anyone who achieves that milestone in sales gets to design a stamp set, which is phenomenal. So we're just stamping that lovely happy birthday in the Bumblebee ink, and that's ready to die cut in a moment once we've coloured in our goat here. Okay, so we used smoky slate with the original sample, but we're going to switch things up and go for grey granite for the for this one, just to give you a different idea on what we're doing. His little face is going to be done with light petal pink, and we're just going to bring in the light flirty flamingo just to give him a bit of blush, just to give him a bit of character. So we'll put his face on first, just so that that's in and drying back. So we're just going to put on this first layer of petal pink, really, just over his face and muzzle, and I'm just going to put a touch on his lower legs as well. Okay, so we'll just put that to one side for the moment, just so it's there. And now we're going to use our dark grey granite to add in our dark patches here and there on this little fellow. So what I'm going to aim for is kind of the creases where the line art is, underneath his ear, underneath his sort of little fluffy bit on the top of his head, you know, bits where his body meets the other areas of his fur. Okay, so under there, and then we'll flick in a bit around the edges as well and bring it into this sketchy bit. Emphasize the line art here and there. And again, we'll flick in a little bit into the little curls he's got. His feet that are towards the back are going to be darker, so we'll go over those with the dark colour. Again, we're going to bring in the colour on this bit where the all the hair sort of overlaps each other, base of his tail. Okay. And if we need to go back over it again, we can, when we've done all the other bits and pieces. It's sort of more of a brown grey than a sort of warm grey, as opposed to a cool grey, like grey granite. His bit on top of his head, I'm going to do in the darker colour. Oh, and his little beard. Almost forgot his little beard last time as well when I was colouring him in my sample. So now we're going to fill in our little bits and blend out those lines with our light marker. And say, if we need to, we can go back and add in a bit more of that dark colour if it just blends out a little too much. Sometimes the blend is so good it almost evaporates the dark colour. So we'll see how it goes. Just using that brush tip, sorry, of the marker, just to fill that in, and any lines will just smooth themselves out. They'll dry nice and flat once we've got all that done. Still going over this front leg, but I've just got that petal pink just to sort of show he's got a little less fur on there. And I think what we do need is a little bit more on the of the dark marker. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to put a little bit on the horns as well, just so that you've got that in place. And so I'm just going over those same areas again, just to emphasise those dark bits, really. And I'm probably not even going to go back over that with the light one. I'm just going to let it do its thing. The blends don't, you know, the blending process, if you know what I mean, the inks interacting with each other isn't an instant thing. They sort of develop. Okay, I'm liking that. Now if I bring that up close, you see he's just got a little bit of definition in those areas, which I think is really, really cute. I'm going to go over his horns a little, and then I'm just going to use this very light, sorry, it's not very light, the light Flirty Flamingo, and just put some dots onto his cheeks here. Now that looks horrendous right now, and I thought I'd made a mistake when I did the first sample, but actually it blends out beautifully with the petal pink, but you can still see it's a different shade. So just apply that over the top, and that alcohol will just dissipate those intense dots. And it's a very subtle look, but he just has just a hint of that blush on his cheek and nose. So I hope that comes across on the camera, because it is quite subtle. Alright, so that's him done. We just need to put him some ground in, and that's just a couple of lines, just so he's not levitating. And then the just to tie in the bumblebee, there isn't a bumblebee marker, but I'm just going to use the Daffodilite and just colour in his little flower there. Okay, we're going to use a stitch rectangle to cut him out, and the sentiments. So the sentiment that uses the smallest one. So I'm just going to, the happy on this sentiment is straight, so we want to line up the die with that, and then just make the ends equidistant there. And then I need, oops, I couldn't pick it up, just another little bit of tape for positioning this guy. So again, I'm just looking for him to be sort of equal from this point and this point, which is sort of the furthest left and furthest right, and then top and bottom, so he's got equal amount of space below him and above him, and both of those will fit onto my die plate. I'm going to put them on a slight angle so that it's easier for my machine to cut those. So we'll just wind those through in one go. And look, see, it just falls out. They cut the Stampin' Up dies and the Stampin' Cut and Emboss together make a fantastic combination. Right, all we need to do is assemble this now. Okay, so Whisper White card base. I keep calling it Whisper White, it's not Whisper White. Basic White. Called it Whisper White for so long. Still getting used to it. And I haven't had Basic White for a while, for very long, because I had a lot of the original product, so I was using that up. I haven't actually used a lot of the Basic White yet, so there we go. So there's our card base with just our usual size there. That is 4 by 5 3/4, that sort of wood grain panel there. I've then got a panel here which is 1/2 inch shorter and narrower than the card base. And then this strip of paper is 1/2 inch shorter, but it's cut to 1 3/4 inches, so it's only going over half of that layer. So we'll put this bit in place first, and then put the whole thing onto the card front. Doesn't matter which side we use, whichever you can get into place easiest. I think it's easier to line it up at the top myself, but you know, you do whatever you need to do to get this adhered and lined up. And we'll get that onto our card front. Just like so. There we are, that looks straight enough to me. So I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Seal Plus to attach our coloured image to this acetate. Well, we're going to go that way, okay. So just cut the acetate just a smidge bigger than the actual rectangle, and then we're going to offset it. So we're going to have some of that on there, because we're adhering to the acetate. Just wanted something a little stronger. That's all. Just going to, I do keep the lid on this because it is sticky, super sticky. And we'll lay that over our, well, behind our acetate. Just put it on a wonk, whatever angle you think looks good. Entirely up to you. We are going to raise it up onto some dimensionals. I'm going to use the pattern on the DSP just to eyeball getting that straight. Straight enough anyway. And we just want to add our sentiment at the bottom, so I'm just going to use the edge strip there along the bottom of that sentiment and just tuck that in underneath, sort of overlapping stuff and just making it look like it's connected. And that is it. I hope you've enjoyed that. Real simple fun card. Links are in the description. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, and do stay safe. Bye.